What's with these homies dissing my girl? It's that famous song. Welcome again to the CM Kozeman live stream. There seems to be something with the microphone. Can you confirm if you can hear me? If the sound is okay? 7 people watching. Okay, welcome to the CM Kozeman live streams again. This is your host, CM Kozeman speaking. It's the onset of winter. What can I say? I've had a haircut. I've also picked up an old puffy coat. It's very puffy and keeps me very warm. I hope you like it. And welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the live stream again. I missed you all. 13 people watching. Now, you know the drill. Call everyone you know on your Discord or whatever you have, and I'll go make some coffee, and then we'll get this show properly on the road. It's the 19th of October, a beautiful, cold Saturday night. Hello, Bot Pirate. Hello, Preston Zone. Hello, Tamari. Hello, Nikit Nitkowski. Hello, One Edits. Hello, Bit. And many, many more lurkers. I don't care about that. All right, everybody. Welcome to the CM Kozman live stream again. This is your host, CM Kozman, speaking live from my secret part of the world. Let's see everybody's comments. Bit says, hello, Kozman Abi, how are you? Well, it's been a very, very intense week, but in a good way. And I'm fine. Ukoli says, good evening. One Edit says, where can I find All Tomorrow? Just go to unbound.com/All Tomorrows. Wait. I'm pasting a link in the chat and you can pre-order it from there and it will be published in, I think, April 2025. So April next year, it's going to be out and you'd better get it. All right. Bit says, I love the new haircut, by the way. Why? Thank you. I've been told it looks like a hot racist, which is interesting, to say the least. Gavin Tidwell says, hello, Kozeman. Blake Richardson says, hi, Kozeman. We got like a core audience of, I've been doing these live streams for nearly 3 years now. And I think we got a core audience of 30 people, maybe 40. I remember one night, it was an unforgettable night. I had almost 80 people watching, which is a big high. Actually, in terms of live streaming, it's a low number. But if you think about 80 people packed in an auditorium, it's a huge number. So, yeah. I hope you've all been doing fine. It's been a really suddenly cold week. Last 2 winters, there was almost no winter. It was like a silly spring and a mushy autumn kind of thing. But now it's really biting. So I'm keeping my face warm and I'm cutting my hair because I don't want that thing to get wet and get me cold. But anyways, I'm just rambling. Blake Richardson says, wasn't that big stream your Thanksgiving stream? Probably, yes. And yes, I've been busy. I've been doing lots of commissioned art this week. Here is a sneak preview. This was the digital mock-up I made for this commission. And then over this, I laid out this sheet of very transparent paper. And then this is what it looks like. Cool demoness with lots of, with commissions like this, it's a big challenge to make it seem congruent and not to have it turn into overkill. But if you follow me on Patreon, you can see the process of all these drawings and more. Also, please, if you enjoy my ramblings and my conversations and my Q&A sessions, please consider supporting me on Buy Me a Coffee too. If you're coming from the Rewatch gang, you can also go to my merch store and get some CM Kozman merchandise. Parakeet Picture says, what applications do you use to make digital art? I only use an old edition of Photoshop, and if you go to my website and go to the illustrations tab, go to cmkozman.com and go to the illustrations tab, there's a link there that shows you my drawing style digitally. And also, if you go elsewhere on this YouTube channel, there are many videos showing you tutorials of my digital illustration process. So, yeah. Let's raise the volume a bit. Okay, this must be better now. All right, how are you all doing? How was this week for you? Let me know in the comments. 16 people in the house, 10 minutes in. We're officially live. We are we are recording, so yeah. Bot Pirate says, heart. Thank you. I love you too. And what should we talk about tonight? We got lots of options. We can go touring on Google Maps again. We can talk about the state of the world and its incipient risks. We can talk about the Spinosaurus shit, which has been going. If you're interested in paleontology, there's almost never a month where Spinosaurus is not in the news. Kyra Fiskroff says, kinda sucks. I flunked the training exam for a new job. Man, you just have to plug at it. I'm really sorry to hear that, and I hope it goes well for you. And Gavin Tidwell says, it's pretty good. College work is slowing down, so I'm good. Yeah. Lizard says, the week is okay, but it's becoming awfully clear that my crush doesn't like me. Oh my God, we got Heartbreak Hotel. Heartbreak problems. Well, I don't know the specifics of your situation, but here's one thing I've learned. You will never forget that person, but you will grow around them and you will find a new person you will love in a completely different way. And when you consider all the shit you've gone through in the intervening months and years, you will realize, oh my God, I've grown. So yeah. Nikit Nitovsky says, what's your opinion on I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream? I haven't, unfortunately, read it. I know it gets coupled with All Tomorrows a lot of times because apparently there's a really evil computer there, but I haven't read it. So I can't make any offhand remarks. Tamari says, this week has been really hard for me. But on the positive side, I've managed to talk to a therapist, and there's a growing suspicion I might be suffering from borderline syndrome. Aside from that, painting as usual. Well, I hope that goes well for you. You know, life isn't easy these days, and I know this channel, your parasocial daddy, attracts a lot of outlying characters with what some might call issues. And thank you all for sheltering in my community. Just come here and shelter. And I'm reluctant to give advice on something like that, but I hope it pans out well. Diagnoses like borderline or bipolar, etc., they're handed out quite liberally these days. So, like, always take a rain check, you know? Like, am I feeling this way because I feel this way, or am I feeling this way because this is in the DSM? And you'd be surprised at how much you can accomplish with that little line of questioning. I know in some communities, these BPDs, OCDs, all these Ds, they almost become like star sign, especially for like young people. In some parts of the world, in some affluent parts of the world, you're not even taken seriously unless you have some sort of a problem. But then, of course, I have seen people with real problems, and it's nothing like that. I'm talking extracurricularly now. I'm not referring to Tamari's comment anymore, but just generally saying, like, people who really suffer from things that today get classified as those disorders, you never get to see them. All underground. Nikolai says, hello, hope everything has been going well. It's been going great, thank you. Gavin Tidwell says, here's a decent bit of advice for Lizard for your dating issues. Surround yourself with other positive people. If you can, it helps. I agree. Also, find something like this. You know, I could sit at a cafe. I mean, I wouldn't want to, but I could be in a prison, and as long as I can draw, I'd be happy. Janet Arks, first-time commenter, says, hey, you with 3 Ys. Comelfon says, Season 1, Episode 7, the programmer character in X-Files looks like you. I have to Google it. Okay, let's see what the programmer looks like. Okay. Wait, we're going to share this, of course. So this is the guy from the X-Files, and that's yours truly. Yeah, the resemblance is there. The forehead ratio, the eyes. I have a slightly stronger chin. This guy is probably Jewish too. The hair. All right, it's a small world. What can I say? The whole little community in my channel is saying hello. It says hello, Mikin. Hello, Kaire, Buno, Tamari, Blake. Cookie says lol. Well, you guys get introduced. How has your week been so far? Mine week has been great. Really busy. Let's check some messages. It's a quiet night, but I miss you. It's actually, I might be coming down with something. Do you think my eyes are a little red? That's okay. All right, we could talk about Spinosaurus because, boy, looks like I'm going to be right on that. I might make a special video about this thing too. Or we could go traveling around the world. 26 people watching. Blake Richardson and Kyra Fiskrov have diagnosed my eyes as normal. So I don't think I'm sick. Well, let me also show you some other stuff I've been doing. I've just been doodling. Here are some creature concepts. I might reuse this thing for Snaiad later on. I just called it a pneumodrome or something. And then here is some spiny, surreal abstract figure, some shadowy raptor type alien / dinosaur kind of thing. And then after I drew this big commission, I sat at the cafe and just drew people from the street because it's a really nice cool down exercise. So you just look at people and you try to draw them as fast as you can because people move, and you try to capture their essence, and it really filters back to your artistic drawing progress, because the better you can capture regular mundane details, actually the more realistic your fantasy drawings can be. And then here's one of the famous mudslider aliens from Wayne Barlowe's amazing work, Expedition. Yes, it's a keeled slider, as correctly identified by Kyra Fisgrove and Blake Richardson. Jeanette Arcs says, gotta go, man, keep up the great work. Goodbye, Jeanette Arcs, whoever or wherever you are. Before going, at least let me know where you come from, because you're a first-time commenter in this channel. Oh, okay, you're Irene Jean. Okay, local fan and friend I met during my exhibit last week. Okay. Well, hello, it's a small world. Even a smaller country. "28 people watching. Let's do a roll call. See where everybody is from. Where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from?" And then we can get the ball rolling. 31 people. Show you some more alien sketches while the comments trickle in. Some more abstract jumping aliens or kangaroo-like things. As soon as you get the shapes down, I can adapt them for Snayad or for other projects. I like this thing. I might rework it for Snayad, just give it full legs. This creature actually was inspired by a plant sprayer. You know, the head is just the spray, but then the body came out naturally. Keep writing where you're from. I'm going to read them all. Some more sketches here. More abstract fish-like creations. I really don't know what these are. I might repurpose them for Snayad or just turn them into standalone illustrations. I did make this though, which is a kind of realistic speculative thing, something called a gogfish, which imagine some sort of deep sea lanternfish or frogfish with a very heterodox body plan, but it's 6 meters long. And also some duck shit right here. Just duck. And lots of goobers. Some more abstracted fish kinds of things. I don't know. This is how research and design always begins for me. I always draw the shapes first, and then if I want them for Snayad, I install the plumbing later on. Or if they're going to be spec creatures, but even things like this little thing here, they got such a nice immediate form, and you just cannot sketch like this on an iPad. You just can't. All right. Let's read where everybody's from. Oh my God, I love this global gang I got over here. Kyra Fisgrove is from Cincinnati, Ohio. Oh, you moved to the big city. Great. Who are you is from Çanakkale. A nice Turkish city, also inspiration for the eponymous folk song. Çanakkale içinde aynalı çarşı. Anne ben gidiyorum düşmana karşı. Ah gençliğim eyvah. Parakeet Pictures says, I'm Canadian, but I'm from Argentina. No offense to original Canucks. Everybody in Canada is from somewhere else. Noah Turner is from Pennsylvania, one of the nicest states. Astromangos is from Valencia, Venezuela. Lizard is from Slovakia. Cookie is from North Carolina. Tamari is from North Germany near the Danish border. Nikit Nitowski is from Poland. Mikin is in Slovakia celebrating my dad's birthday. Happy birthday, Mikin's dad. Christian O is from Aragon, Espana. Gavin Tidwell is from Florida. Organic Wolf is from Tijuana, Mexico. Pepular is from San Diego. Ab213 is from North Carolina. We got two people from North Carolina. Blake Richardson is from Michigan, USA. Nikolai is from Izmir, Turkey, but currently in Prague for university. What a global gang. I'm really proud of you. Unfunny Valentine is from Istanbul, Anadolu gang. Kara Fiskrov says, I always lived in Cincinnati. Okay, sorry, my bad. Yeet Atalay says, Cosman Commander, greetings from Rome. Selam asker! Greetings to Rome. Just a second. All right. We got lots of comments too. Nikit Nikowski says, I was inspired by a lawn sprinkler to make my first villain. Yeah, look at real things and turn them into creatures. It's a very creative exercise. Who are you, says Kozem Abi. Are there any invertebrates in Snayad? Yes, if you follow me on Patreon, you can see sneak previews. Currently, there are things that look like land-living starfish, meaning they have radial symmetry. I named them trilateralans. And there are also amphibian-looking things which conform broadly to this body plan. They're called mullogiforms. And this is actually a master guide, one of the few I carry with me in my sketchbook at all times. So when I need to create something from this lineage, I can just whip this out and then just create something related to these forms. So there are many invertebrate forms, and these are just some of the few. I had some nice questions about. Gavin Tidwell says, I'm a big fan of Wayne Barlowe's Gasnar project, full of plant aliens. They are very underrated. To be fair, they might not be realistic, but they are very imaginative, and that's what matters. Okay, so yeah, let's look at this. Gasnar. So you probably know Wayne Barlowe, who is a great inspiration to, well, many of us. And one of his most well known works is Expedition, which is a trip to another planet. He also recently on Instagram, I must say, launched or showed previews of another project called Gesner 3, which is full of aliens that move around like animals, but they're somehow descendants of plants. And, well, they look like this. So this is a plant shaman kind of figure. You can see there's something like a face. The body is weirdly convoluted and like every detail is very well rendered. This might be his pet. And this is like the big mango creature or durian fruit creature, which he seems to have killed. There are other things that look like this. These things graze on the sun, it seems, and they move about somehow. There's also this thing, which is a floating predator, has that like a Venus flytrap type jaw in its body. And they're supremely imaginative. Now, of course, from a scientific background, it is uncertain how realistic these things could be. But from an artistic background, they're incredible. Just very, very beautifully made. And Wayne Barlowe has been drifting in this direction for the past decade, I think. He has another project which is about the wildlife of hell. So let me show you those two. Wait a minute. Let's look at. Just a second. I'm trying to download and rip the pictures. Okay. Okay, wait a second. So Wayne Barlowe excels at designing these alien ecosystems and worlds. Okay, let's get that down first. And then you already saw his Gesner plant world project. Now he has another project full of grotesque illustrations of demons called Barlowe's Inferno, and then he's got a few tie-in projects to that. There's another book called Brushfire, and actually there are two novels set in that universe. But suffice it to say, wait, I'm going to share it all with you now. Okay. Okay, so this is the original book, Barlowe's Inferno, and it was actually a kind of great collection of really dark, scary paintings, which was just about hell. And of course, the good thing about making this about hell was you could be really scary and creative with the demons involved, you know? So there's no limits there. As Wayne Barlowe built up his hell universe, he created these demons, and he's got this sort of very naturalistic structured mind. So once he designs the Inferno world, he cannot help but also design these little hell plants in it. And this is, I think, a demon who's hunting some other creatures and stuff like that. And there's this like giant hell creature with these demons and these distorted souls around it. And then another like totally abstract creature just basking near some lava with these physics defying body elements, such as these anti gravity limbs, which somehow stay structured together. And these are very similar to, like, he could have painted this green and attached some stalks on these floating elements, and this could have been something from the Plant World project. But now this is in hell because it's next to lava and there are the anti gravity elements. What I'm getting at is that he has this world inside him, and it doesn't matter if it's Inferno, if it's like the actual seventh layer of hell, or a plant world, or another planet like Darwin 4. It just has to come out there. And I think Barlowe is this like great master of these counterintuitive body shapes, which he manages to make look great. So the original Hell portfolio was just full of these demons and these horrible dark scenes. But as his work evolved, he became more interested in the world around these demons. And then he created this assumption saying that this place was another dimension before demons were banished there. So it had this like ancient ecology of these strange creatures, which the demons later hunted and domesticated. And then it's just world building, like in a great scale. So there's Wayne Barlowe's Inferno Wildlife Project. Let's look at some comments. Comalphone says, what's your recent opinion on the nature of the UFOs after the recent statements by David Grush and Lou Elizondo? I know there was a flurry of shit in the summer of 2023, these Congress revelations. You can go look at my old videos on YouTube. I speak a lot about this stuff. My understanding is there are a lot of bodies in the US military infrastructure, which is extremely bureaucratic, investigating these anomalies and stuff. As far as I know, and as far as I understand, they do see these like really fast traveling ball-like things, but I don't think they're actual crafts with alien in them. But I think they represent a phenomenon, atmospheric phenomenon like ball lightning that we just don't understand. Because we don't know shit. We just don't know shit. And these bureaucracies with their bloated infrastructure, and they employ all these mentally unstable people, they find out what they are designed to find out. But recently, as of the week encompassing the 19th of October 2024, there were a few other videos. The way I understand it, they were AI deepfakes, and they were using statements from the 2023 Congress hearings and making the mouth move and making the guy say things like, oh, we really found them, now you won't believe it. But I think they're deepfakes. The recent round in 2024, just deepfakes. I'd be happy to be proven wrong, but that's my impression. Nikit Nitkowski says, I'm trying to write my own universe, but instead of focusing on the story, my mind keeps creating characters, events from other stories. What's your advice? Go wild with it. That's what Wayne Barlowe did with all the demon stuff I showed you just now. Parakeet Pictures says, do you listen to music while drawing? If so, what kinds? My brothers, my sisters, go to this YouTube channel and go to my playlist. There's a playlist called My Favorite Music. And then you'll see all my favorite music there. I like traditional Turkish music. I like 1990s hardcore, rock, new metal even, Marilyn Manson, Gary Newman, Kraftwerk, classic music too. Mm-mm-mm. Hachaturian, Stravinsky. Also local flavors like Sagopa Kajmer. Lots of stuff. Go to this channel, go to the My Favorite Music playlist, you'll find it. Sahib Girayhan says, Selam abi nasılsın? Türkiye'den sevgiler. One of the hidden legion of Turkish fans. Greetings from Turkey to Turkey. I'm doing well. Actually, if you've been following Turkish news, it's actually really awful. There's just been this recent scandal about a gang of really corrupt hospital managers and doctors basically poisoning kids or even causing them to die to scam the health system. Because if a baby goes into intensive care, the state gives the hospital money to care for the baby. So these people were drugging up the babies and then embezzling the money and then cutting off the drugs so the baby would recover, and actually not keeping the baby in intensive care, and just dark shit. Who are you says, I like the way the new Snayad is looking. My favorite Spec Evo project so far. Thank you. Just go to patreon.com for more sneak reveals and you will be satisfied. Tamari says, Tamari is a great artist, by the way. Has a project called Ftanum B, or just Ftanum now. Incredible creatures. Super Bantom says, did not miss the stream this time. Yes. Worldwide Hope. Ha, my friend from Eskişehir. Hope you're doing well. Says, October isn't the month for Turkey. Which month was? Bat Pirate says, Sagopa, woo! Yes, I'm proudly in the Sago Kaf Kef gang. 43 minutes. Let's check some messages. And ask me questions, people. Yin TM says, what do you think about the future of the world at this moment? It's a question that plagues me a lot, but I'm kind of clueless. I agree. It's a dark world. I mean, I'm actually planning a big video on this, but suffice it to say, all these wars and shit, the primary cause is economic, and the primary cause of that is the way the world transitioned into a rabid form of bottom line capitalism. Now, capitalism is good if you just want to maybe have a company to make bikes or make computers. It's a cancer if you want to raise shareholder value, because then you lose your grip on reality. And people, especially in the United States, they made a string of bad decisions from the 1980s onwards. They outsourced, especially in America, all their production to China. They destroyed their local communities. They turned an entire continent full of very skilled, very wealthy people into a blasted hellscape of addicts and broken families. Call it flyover country now. I mean, if you look at, look at the place. One of my very good online friends lives there. Look at any small town between LA and San Francisco and New York. There's a place called Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. It was the headquarters of Bethlehem Steel. At one point, Bethlehem Steel was, let me check this, but it was one of the world's largest shipbuilding and steel producing companies. Then in the 1980s and 90s, they outsourced all the steel production to China because now the bottom line mattered. Now what mattered was the share price, okay? So, and this was just not just with Bethlehem Steel, but it's just an example. They had huge steel factories. People made a lot of money. Now the steel factories are closed. They're only, the whole city has been reduced into some post-apocalyptic urbexing site. As far as I know, the only revenue comes there from, I think, Amazon or some like shipment centers and shit. And it's like insult to injury, like a casino or something. Huge town with a world-leading industry, now reduced. Of course, everybody there is struggling to broken families, addiction, destroyed lives. And that's like the whole origin of the world in the present day. Now, that system today is unraveling because you could argue it already fell apart in the mid-2000s, but they gave it another shot in the arm after the 2008 economical crisis, and now it's just melting down. And a lot of this intense intermingled economic crises are connected to the generation, arguably the worst generation in world history, the boomer generation. They have all the wealth in the world and none of the decisions, zero accountability. They're going to die off, and it's going to be a strange world after them. A global winter is coming. It doesn't mean it's going to be societal collapse. Like I have no truck with that shit either. You know, you got all these like Western civilization statue avatar people saying, "Oh, if you're not racist enough, Western civilization is gonna collapse. It's up to us, the Warhammer types, to prop up civilization." These people usually are unable to care for anybody beyond themselves. It's just another manifestation of this ugly state of the world. Long answer short, the world is going to a shitty place. It's because of fictional economics for the past 30 years, and that is because of the infinite stupidity and greed of the boomer generation. It's all stacked inside each other like fucked up Russian Matrushka doll. Worldwide Hope says, this month was extra horrifying. The boomers can never hate them enough. Yes. Only generation which does nothing for their children. Who are you? Says fire cannot burn without fuel. Nikolai says, do you have any recommendations for science fiction, speculative evolution media for uncultured people? Well, I wouldn't say you're uncultured just because you don't like speculative evolution. In fact, you could like Spec Evo and still be uncultured. But okay, I think like if you're talking to a straight up normie, complete normie, get them to watch the Avatar movies first, the James Cameron avatars. Then get them to watch Alien and Aliens. And then maybe have them read Wayne Barlowe's works. And then maybe the Discovery Channel documentary, Alien Planet. Then slowly you get to understand it. But these are like the beginner works I could recommend anyone. Up AB213 says, oh, wait. I love Future is Wild. Yeah, that's a good one too. The Future is Wild. And of course, After Man is a great one. And Man After Man. Those are great. So, Avatar, Aliens, Barlow's Expedition, Alien Planet, and then After Man, The Future is Wild, and then you're in the rabbit hole. What do you think will survive this mass extinction, says Up213? I think personally, whatever survives will evolve and enjoy life. The current wave of extinctions in the world, they are not as dire, but also not as innocent either. A lot of clades are losing diversity, but these are the clades you least expect, things like moths or beetles or flies. But then some get a big boost through their proximity with human cities. So there. Who are you, says Kosemen abi. What do you think about Warhammer 40K's organisms and ecosystems, especially death worlds like Katakan, aliens like Krutza, and the concepts of the warp ecosystem? So I'm a huge fan of Warhammer lore. I could never play the game, but I like listening to Warhammer podcasts on YouTube as I work sometimes. And it's a very creative universe. It's got everything. It's got the biological alien threat in the form of the Tyranids. It's got the whole demon elf thing. It's got actual demons. It's got the Empire of Man. I really like. It's a massive structure. I like it. I don't know it in depth though. I have a very surface level understanding. I do love the orcs. Okay, first things first. I'm a big fan of Tyranids. I think Tyranids are not just the best race, they are the only race. Second to them, maybe, is my love for the Necrons, because I think they're just like me, lurking and age old. I like the Necrons. I hate the subset of people who confuse the irony and the political satire of the Empire of Man for an actual fuck yeah humanity sentiment. I think those are a bit dumb. But in terms of Warhammer, I'm a big fan of the orcs, because I think they're like, correct me if I'm wrong, but they are degenerate versions of these ultra durable life forms which were created as bioweapons in a almost godlike war. So orcs can propagate anywhere, even on like blank asteroids. And just by thinking a machine will work, they can make it work. They have like a very strong mental power they're just not aware of. And they have also all these like side characters called, I think, squigs or squibs. But they got all these like little weird creatures living alongside them, which they use as helpers or minor attackers or scouts or even drones. Squigs. And there's like 200 bazillion kinds of squigs, and I really like that. Charlie Kennedy asks, what's your opinion of the Tau Empire in Warhammer 40K? So you got all these dark and weird things, and then you got these Tau aliens, which are almost like Asian coded mecha aliens who fight for a greater good. And they're all about cooperation and ranged weapons, and they all have these like shiny armored vehicles which look very out of place. But I think there's something that the Warhammer universe needs. I always assumed they were created to appeal to the Chinese market because, with big intellectual properties like Warhammer, you also have like they actually sit in a boardroom and make marketing decisions and shit, which is kind of weird if you think about it. I always assumed the Tau were created to appeal to a Chinese market, but I don't know, or a Japanese market, because they're like straight up like um, straight laced good guys. But I could be wrong. Good questions. I'm happy with my chat. Just checking some messages. Okay. William says, what's your opinion on genetic engineering of humans for various purposes? What social consequences will follow? I don't know. Like, imagine the mRNA COVID shots we almost all got were some sort of public genetic engineering, maybe. Who knows? To what end, though? I don't know. No, I just think they were rushed vaccines. My take on COVID is actually I'm almost certain it was being developed as a bioweapon in Wuhan, and it broke out by an accident. And that's why the reaction was so harsh. All these unnecessary and cruel lockdowns. I think they were scared it was going to be far more lethal than it actually was. So the lockdowns were actually like biological warfare practices. But then the virus was not as dangerous as they feared. They rushed the vaccine, which was only mid in terms of effectivity. Millions of lives were ruined, entire jobs were devastated. There was a huge transfer of power from family owned or personally owned small businesses to mega corporations. Like any disaster, they turned that into an opportunity. And that's where we are now. I don't think it was like a globalist plan to destroy humanity, but I think they fucked up and they tried to cover it. Oh, Gen Z and Gen Alpha got ruined too. Yeah, the mental consequences, like 2 years spent cooped up at home. It's awful. But Oh, Kotobuki is here. Hello, beautiful people. Hello, Kotobuki. Okay, I was talking about COVID in response to a question about genetic engineering. Aside from that, in the present day and age, genetic engineering is only affordable to the wealthy. In a couple of generations, those lines usually die out. I mean, imagine you're very rich, you can get your kid to have this gene therapy which prevents him or her from developing certain kinds of cancer. That's all right. But I don't think that's ever going to filter down or trickle down into the greater population. It's just going to be that line, and maybe that rich kid is going to get it, and then maybe he or she is going to have 2 kids or 4 kids, and each one of those kids is going to have 1 kid or maybe no kids, and it's just going to die out, and that's that. So, I don't know. I don't think genetic engineering can be implemented in a massive scale to influence the development of the species yet. Let's look at some messages. Where were we? Blake Richardson says, okay, before that, let's follow up on genetic engineering. I don't think we will ever get to have the kind of genetic engineering we see in books like Man After Man, you know? You just don't take some people and then quick modify their genes, and suddenly you have like dolphin people swimming in the water. Look, it's just impossible. First of all, it would be a major human rights violation. Nobody's going to stand up for that kind of shit. Yeah, you would need to experiment on children and babies, and imagine by some unlimited evil you get to modify some human embryos and you have babies with flippers. Maybe they're really good at swimming. How are those kids going to be trained? How are they going to feed? Never going to happen. You can have, like, if it was an egalitarian world, there could be state-funded treatment programs eliminating, maybe making people resistant to malaria, eliminating certain diseases, and that those effects would be visible in the longer run, but again, it wouldn't make the species look like something else. So, and plus, look, let's face it, in the next 2 or 3 generations, all these like fancy technologies are going to be dialed back a bit, I think. If you try to imagine the world of the 2100s, the next century, don't look into some sort of far future Alpha Centauri or like futuristic scenario, but imagine something like the 1930s or the 1970s as an extended century. In terms of technology, still there's going to be lots of internal combustion engines, maybe more durable designs because nobody's going to be able to afford a new car every year. It's going to be a more redundant, slower, and a more slightly more miserable future. We're going to forget a lot of fancy stuff, actually. But some other stuff is going to expand. The way literacy surprisingly spread or printing developed in the Middle Ages, in the tail end of the Middle Ages, maybe online communications and mobile cultures are going to influence the people. So it's going to be a lot of people like us being friends online, but maybe personal travel is going to be lots more expensive. Maybe only with public transport like trains or stuff. Forget being able to fly anywhere. I think the United States will still be an extremely wealthy country, and that difference is going to be pronounced. If there's a big global war, which a lot of countries seem to want, in order to destroy their surplus of lonely, horny men, too, I might add. So I don't know. That's my vision. Like, imagine the year 1973 for a century, or some weird year like 1937 for a century. Maybe some big wars in between, some conflicts, some promising developments. Still, it's going to be like lots of tired people crowding in buses and trains going to work and shit. You're not going to go live on Mars, that's for sure. Debased Gnomes Child says, howdy, hello. Who are you? Says, I am building a hyper-competitive ecosystem. What are some pointers you can give? Look, I can give a lot of pointers, but here I'm just going to recommend one book, okay? I'm just going to recommend you one book, man. One book. Are you ready? Just a second. I'm dragging up the picture for you. Okay, if you want to design a hyper-competitive, inimical biosphere where everybody is a hyper-predator, maybe hell-bent on attacking human beings, well, you'd be surprised to know somebody already did that. And that somebody is Harry Harrison. I really recommend you pick up this book, The Death World Omnibus by Harry Harrison, read it from cover to cover, and then come back to me. We'll have another conversation. Who are you? Says thank you. This is a great book, by the way. Really strongly recommended. I think it was even influential to James Cameron's Avatar in certain subtle directions. If you read it, you will know. Tamari says, I wonder how potential AGIs will affect humanity and politics. One plays a big role in the Ftanum story. AGI being artificial general intelligence. Right? Yes. It's supposedly a type of AI that will match or suppress human cognitive capabilities across a wide range of cognitive tasks. Unfortunately, I don't think it's possible. Even the revolutionary AIs we have now come from harvesting a lot of data, piling it on top of each other, and it looks like it's making decisions, but it's not. It's actually giving you very distinct averages. So you cannot have something like an AGI without a massive sample of human thought, and that has not been acquired. I don't think it's even possible to acquire. As Kyra Fiskrov says, it's a messianic tech bro fantasy. I agree 1000%. You could have this, though. You could have certain countries automate their legal system. Especially things like tax law and stuff could be really automated by subcontracting them to AIs. And you don't even need AGIs for that. You just can have something like ChatGPT, and then you can say, okay, here, solve this trade dispute. Chat, the answer is there. For stuff like criminal law, it's a bit more difficult. But I could really see a jury system where like 1/3 of the decision is by the judge, 1/3 is by the jury, and 1/3 is the recommendation from an AI system. That could make legal processes really smooth. But that may not happen because there's a whole entrenched ecosystem of people who work in law You're not. They have power. They're not going to let that go. One thing I've noticed though, you say AIs can help you do a lot of things really fast. Then I turn back and realize the things you can easily do with AI, do you fucking really need them? I think the answer is no. 99% of the cases. I mean, you can have mid journey churn out like perfect copy for your corporate picnic, 4 paragraphs describing your corporate picnic, planning it out. Do you really need that text? Same with images. Like we live in an image saturated culture. Do you really need that one image of a young girl washing her hand in a mountain stream with 6 fingers? Do you really need that image to illustrate your sustainable policy website? Do you really need that website? Do you really need those policies? It's just bullshit. It's just bullshit building more bullshit. Now I know when it comes to coding and developing data science or just computer stuff like development, in those areas, AI really does help in the present day. I know a lot of people who just use ChatGPT or, or other AI engines to really like upskill their coding abilities. And I don't disregard that. But a lot of the stuff you just don't fucking need that to begin with. Oh, lots of comments. I love this audience. 36 of you watching, 1 hour in. Okay, let's read them. Kotobuki says, one thing with AI is that it cannot be held accountable. True. But I think we already have that problem. When there's something really dismal, like when a police officer shoots somebody because they were reaching for their ID in their pocket and it's a sudden movement, is it that police officer's fault? Is it that police department's fault? Is it the fault of the legislation? Is it the fault of the guy who got shot? We already have agency distributed evenly among many stakeholders in society. And a lot of evil shit that it just happens. And you can't put a finger on a single guilty culprit. I don't think AI can equal the human mind without the hardware being really, really big, says who are you? I agree and disagree. I think the hardware is intrinsically different. I think even the simplest animals or even plants or even bacteria have some way of interfacing with reality that's not properly understood. They have agency in a way machines can never have. And maybe it's because machines don't have a skin in the game. So maybe you could have a mortal model where the machine has to do something or it will be shut off or even destroyed or run out of power. And that thing can act more like an animal. And on top of that basis, you can build something more like a real intelligence. Because as things are now, machines are platonic systems. They don't really care if they get shut off. I also think that there's something intrinsically incomprehensible about the way not only human minds work, but also animal minds work too. We still don't know how it happens. Where the rubber hits the road, we don't understand what the fuck goes on. We don't know shit. You don't know shit. So you can have a really big machine that really pretends to be like a human mind, but actually, no. Canis S. Lupus says, a problem with large language models, these are things like ChatGPT, they cannot count the number of weekdays in a month. They answer vaguely with things like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because they don't have agency. They just generalize from a big sample size, but they're not really counting that thing. They're not really counting the days of the week. They're looking at a billion answers and smoothing them out. And that's that. Who are you? Cotton the Sultan says, well, once super quantum computers start popping up, they might be big enough. That's the question, though. Will it pop up? Super quantum? I mean, I know quantum computing promises to be lots, but I don't know enough to talk definitively about it. A lot of unknowns with quantum computing, too. When they start popping, I'll revise my opinion. There are people out there trying to create jobs for themselves, says Jerry Caleb, as AI prompt engineers. People interested in AI art aren't going to pay for graphic design. Mikian says, I'm a bit sick of this needed faster, more, and cheaper way of thinking. I agree. A bit sick? I'm totally sick. Kotobuki has a really nice quote saying, I want AI to do my laundry and dishes so I can do art and writing. I don't want the AI to do my art and writing so I can only do laundry and dishes. And that's the thing, AI will never do your laundry. Never. It cannot interact in the physical space. So I don't think that's going to happen. Worldwide Hope says, do you really need to flirt with that fictional character? Just write self-insert smut. People are lazy. Yeah. I don't know if this was a reaction to the AI thing, but yeah, you should definitely not have AI write your sexy cartoon fan fiction. William asks, could we engineer humans to be smarter via minor genetic engineering or cybernetics? I don't know. I mean, if you're hell bent on it, it doesn't seem like there's a gene for IQ, as much as the eugenics crowd wants there to be. That being said, certain communities, and I'm not saying races, but certain communities, be it through nature or nurture, seem to have higher IQ than certain other communities. It's just like the way certain other communities can maybe run faster, or I don't know, it's a different ways of adaptation. But I don't think this can be understood genetically. As far as I know, to our present day understanding, genes, you can subtly vary things like risk taking or maybe memory retention. But I don't know if it's going to ever be codifiable to a level where you can have switch one gene and boom, you got Einstein. I don't think intelligence works like that. I mean, one way to make people smarter would be, I think, to ensure more solid family structures, more access to nutrition, warmth. Maybe if people did not have to scramble like animals for a place to live in. But going back to William's questions, how about minor genetic engineering or cybernetics? Actually, technology has made people smarter, but it's through invisible and boring means. When you Google the answer to a question, it makes you smarter, but I mean, that's a cybernetic thing. But you don't need a machine in your brain. You don't need Neuralink, you know? You could be argued that even writing and reading is cybernetics. And still, to this day, one of the most efficient ways to give you a mental superpower is just to learn note taking properly. I mean, you have to have, like, I don't know, like, imagine you're into mushroom collecting, okay? Here's a cybernetic life hack to make you smarter at mushroom collecting. It's very easy. Have a small fucking notebook. Be really methodical, you know, date, mushroom, temperature, locality. Just write them all. By writing, you will have a superpower. You remember. And of course, mushroom collection was just a metaphor. Just like reading, writing, and proper note taking is already like a superpower. Just being able to look up things on Google is a superpower. And these are actual cybernetic technological boosts that we have to strengthen our minds these days. But they don't look science fiction-y, but they are there. And they're weirder because of that. Gnome's Child says, having a phone in your hand is always going to be cheaper and less risky than one in the brain. Yeah, I think the only time you really need a computer attached to your brain is if you're paralyzed. Kyra Fiskroff says, genetics is very complex. There's often not one gene for a specific function. Exactly. One change in a certain place can change a whole system, so you never know. Charlie Crane says, yay. Blake Richardson says he has a very long question. Would you be all right with asking? Please ask. And please look at this demon while I go take a bio break. It's bio time. I'll be right back, everybody. Boom! All right. Tamari says the demon mummy will watch over us. Kotobuki says La Creatura. Louis J says, are my demon simps in the house? Blake Richardson is making some coffee. Ab213 says, do you know the Turkish band Derdi Oklar İkilisi? Oh my God, yes. So these are some incredible Turkish rock guys who I think lived in Germany, and I might be mistaken, but they were members of this ethno-religious Alevi group. But they're insane rockers, and their music is really amazing, and they're best known for their crazy triple guitar with a Turkish saz kind of instrument attached. They actually have a lot of weird instruments. Like one of them looks like a giant guitar. I'm gonna treat you to a series of pictures, by the way, from the Derdi Oklar duo, and you just have to find them on YouTube and listen to them. They're really crazy and they're really skilled. It's like a weird Anatolian Jimi Hendrix type experience with a little bit of like Weird Al Yankovic thrown in. But yeah, you won't be disappointed. So let's share pictures of the Derdi Yoklar duo. These guys are just amazing. This is their triple guitar, one of their albums. They call themselves disco folk. This album is called, or single is called Çoban Mamoş. This is those guys. You notice they have Derdi Yoklar written across their crazy triple guitar, which is actually one guitar and two different saz and bağlama instruments, which are famously used in Turkish folk music. And they have some crazy videos in which one of them is set in a wedding reception, and the guy actually plays guitar with his foot, and it's just incredibly theatrical and unbelievable. I really recommend this thing. And the full name is here. How can one play that instrument, says Worldwide Hope? Well, I think he switches. Plays the bağlama on one end, then switches to the guitar, and then switches to the smaller saz and stuff like that. Billy Harrington asks, how strong is the Islamic influence in Turkish families? Do Turkish parents and grandparents pressure kids to go to the mosque and pray 5 times a day? Coming from a guy from a hardcore Catholic family, well, you're asking the wrong guy, because I come from a very different sort of family, not Muslim. Usually, it's a broad spectrum. Like some people are really secular, some people have something like cultural Islam, which is their version of like going to the church on Sundays. Men go to pray on during Friday, but they're not very hardcore. Some families are sick in the head. They send their kids to schools operated by religious cults, where kids usually get abused and shit. But they're not a majority of the population. I would say, on the overall, Turkish people are more religious than Westerners. but the pressure on younger generations to be religious is less. 37 called people watching, yes. Louis J says, in your last stream, you said you might get into your spiritual beliefs next time. Will you do it? Also, Blake Richardson dropped their question. Nikolai says, Daddy Kozman, what's your favorite Turkish dessert? Well, it has to be these guys. Two different types of guys, actually. So I'm going to show them and then tackle the harder questions. So one is called tulumba tatlısı. I must have shown this during stream. But they're these like stripy, piggy, Twinkie kinds of things, which I just love. Just a second, I'm just bringing up a picture. Ooh, daddy, I love these. And then the other one is called Kemal Paşa tatlısı, which are these like soft balls with ground up walnut and cream on them. Just so soft. Okay, so wait. Are you ready for the dessert experience? Lots of hearts and surprise expressions coming. Okay, here are my favorite kinds of Turkish dessert. So this is Kemal Paşa tatlısı, the soft balls with ground up walnut. Sometimes they come with cream on them, and when that happens, it's unbelievably good. Then my second favorite is tulumba, which are these more hard, crunchy, Twinkie-like things. They're basically, I think, semolina and just bread dough soaked in some sugary liquid. These are unbelievable. Billy Harrington says, I like halwa. Halwa is eaten mostly when somebody dies, you make halwa. And I think traditionally it was meant to like boost up people's blood sugar levels so they don't pass out. I personally am not a huge fan of halwa. Worldwide Hope says, I love tulumba with chocolate syrup. And everybody's gooning over Turkish desserts, which is really nice. Oh, but let me show you my favorite thing. It's not a dessert per se. It's more like a pastry, but are you ready to come? Because we are going to be seeing something incredible. It's a dessert which has sustained me for months. The famous Izmir Bomba dessert, also known as, literally means bombs. And they're so good. You're about to see them here. Okay, we got our bombas loaded up. La Bomba, everybody's cheering. A Polish family friend introduced me to halva earlier this year, says Kara Fiskrov. Well, I think the Slavic halva might be different from the Turkish halva. Like Italian bombolini, high explosives. Well, yeah, now you're going to see them, though. Look at these. So imagine an exterior of stretchy dough, but baked, sprinkled with powdered sugar, and inside it's full of molten chocolate. And yeah, it really does look this obscene, and it tastes even better. Oh, daddy, look at that thing ooze. Better not take those to an airport. Well, yeah, they might confiscate them because they're very pornographic. Ooh, these are so good. They're so good. I'm unbelievable. Geez, Louise, it looks very rich, says Gnome's child. Tamari says, I might need to inject insulin. Yeah, but if you're diabetic, yeah, this could just prolong your condition. Food porn, yes. I love these bombas. One of these streams, I could have one on hand and actually eat it. Bomb your blood sugar level, instant obesity, says William. Well, it's not actually my favorite is when you have a bomba, you eat it, and then you dip the bleeding cum ooze chocolate part into coffee, and then take that out and eat that shit too. What you gonna do? Just gets my noggin jogging. We were gonna talk about my religious beliefs, but we're talking about bombas instead. Do you have a Discord server? Well, I never used Discord, and maybe that was a good coincidence because Discord is inaccessible in Turkey. And the platform never felt intuitive to me, so no. But if somebody else has it on my behalf, Bob Newman says, we have something like this called the Chocolate M Panda. Good. Nikolai says, we need a live stream with you eating an array of desserts. Well, some live streams I actually eat a lot of shit. Yeah, these things are nice though. If you're a Turkish person and you somehow find yourself in America, you could make a fortune selling bombas to Americans. But you need a new name for it, fancy. You could call it like Daddy Kozman's Chocolate Goons. Chocolate Goons. Yeah, that's the name. Yeah, go out for some goons. Could be a countrywide chain. Louis J says gooms. No, that would sound like Goomba, which is a slur for Italians and other Mediterranean folk. Kotobuki is crying. Kozaman might be some sort of god. Charlie Kennedy, maybe. Chocolate Goons, yeah, patented. When is your mukbang stream? God. We need to make Kozaman's Chocolate Goons a reality and advertise it. I know exactly who would play in the commercials. Would sell like hotcakes. Kotobuki says, maybe you could sell them in your dream art cafe. Yeah, maybe. The Goomba thing is putting Mario in a different light. Yeah, exactly. That's one weird thing about Super Mario. So, Goomba was a slur for Italians, okay? And one of the enemies in Super Mario Brothers was literally called the Goombas. I think there was like some sort of tone deaf Japanese copywriter back there, and once the mistake was made, maybe nobody cared about those things back then. I don't know. Gooning Cake, Omnia says, İyi yayınlar Mr. Kozman. Thank you. So many good comments and questions. Gooning Cake, says Billy Harrington. Edward Dory says, Goomba is not a very common slur. Italians have mostly assimilated in the US. Yeah, I agree. Pyrexia says, may I ask you something? Yes. Also, we have Blake Richardson's big question. Okay, I think I got it. I have a friend who only ever criticizes my creature designs for my spec evolution project, which is called Siatuke. Go look it up. It's a really nice. He's Blake Richardson is really talented, and it's called Seatuke. Siatuke. This friend has even gone to the point of saying that my drawing of a basking shark was not a plausible animal. This friend is making me feel really negative about my art and designs. Do you know how to deal with this problem? Yeah, I know how to fucking deal with this problem. Cut them out. Why do you have this dragging weight as a friend? What do you owe them? If it's a lady and maybe you want to get closer to her, I understand, but I believe you. Like, I let me tell you, let Daddy Cosman tell you, no amount of sex is worth that sort of sublimination of your ego. And I don't think it's even that. Just cut off this person. I mean, don't be sharp or rude about it. Just don't call them back. So in earlier stages of life, people sometimes have friends who actually use them for contrast. You have a more flashy, but actually a dumber and more basic human being who is more socially adept than you, and they like having you around because secretly they think you make them look even better. They use you as a contrast enhancer. Now I have always been aware of this shit. And because I'm me, I was very vehement about it. I mean, I remember pushing my palm into somebody's nose, making it bleed, smashed. I once smashed like a huge seashell over this guy's head because he was like, we were in a social setting. I was speaking and he was interrupting me, you know. So, yeah. But don't be like that. Just don't call them. Like, they don't owe you anything. And you got a lot of support. We're all learning about Cosman's Hulk person. I know I'm actually a very scrawny guy. But there are ways to be violent. Get ready to eat the Cosman knuckle sandwich. No, look. These all happened when I was like 13, 14, 15, like very early teenage years. And you know how boys are. There's this guy, actually, we're still friends, but he was like the more socially active guy. Was like, oh, wow, so crazy. Like, and he was treating me like an asshole. So one day, like, this was, I think, like on a bus trip together. I just do this. You don't punch somebody. You come up to them and just raise your palm, drive their nose into the back of their face. And here's how you do this. Here's how you do this. You just look, you talk, you have one hand in your ear. Imagine the guy is here, okay? You have to suddenly raise. You can hit them in the jaw, hit them in the nose, push. But like, don't push, lift your arm, just push. You can also follow that up with this, but of course, be careful when initiating violence because they will always follow up. And then you'd better be ready. But here's the good thing about violence. Imagine somebody's pestering you, a school bully or something. If you beat them up once, they will never come back again. Because you're a rational person, you think, if I hit them, they might retaliate, it might turn nuclear. No, just fucking drive their nose in, they never come back. They respect you. But to be honest, you don't even need that. You don't need to interact with these people. A lot of people, like, Worldwide Hope says, sounds like something my friend went through. Definitely dump their ass. Your life will become better. Kotobuki says, I can tell you it's so liberating to quit a toxic group of friends. I've been through that, and speaking from experience, don't lose hope. You and your art are worth much more than to be treated like this. Exactly. Look, I mean, the punching noses in that thing is fun to dream about, but you don't need that. You just stop communicating with them. And do they have some sort of leverage over you? I don't think so. Sometimes it occurs that this friend is a girl who's leading them on. Here's a secret: you have more chances of fucking them or like being cozy or intimate with them if you value yourself. Because if you simp, they'll never go your way. Edward Dory says, in college or at work, one will learn about the deep alienation and competition that exists among people out of high school. I miss connections that one could make as a young person. Exactly. Louis J says, I also used to rage at people at 14. I draw some fountain pens into some hands. Yeah. Kotobuki says, the Kozaman Palmar platter. Here's something good about violence, Louis J says. Look, it's not entirely devoid of purpose, is that all I'll say. Kyre Fiskroff says, when you stand up to bullies, they stop. Exactly. Kotobuki says, my fighting instinct since I was a kid was biting, always tried, worked. You don't really need to use those tactics after you are 22 or something. Kotobuki says, silence is the harshest punishment. Okay, I mean, I guess we can assume that Blake Richardson has found a constructive response. Blake Richardson, if you're there, confirm. Pyrexia says, how did you come up with the name for the coup? It was... I will show you. So there's a really little known and underappreciated sci-fi and spec evo artist called Carl Kofoed or Carl Kofod, I don't know. He's a really talented illustrator and designs these incredible worlds in a series called Galactic Geographic. And I'm going to show you his stuff now. Wait. Let's share with you Galactic Geographic. So this is Carl Kofod and his cat. And these are his works. He's one of the first artists to scientifically, convincingly design alien air whales. And, well, this is like one page from his works. I mean, world of these strange organisms that look like coral reefs. Really great art with the airbrush. Just look for his name, Carl Kofoed or Galactic Geographic. So in his universe, one of the alien intelligences called the WO. That's WO, just WO. Because that's the first thing the astronaut said when he first saw the WO homeworld, which was full of these gigantic pyramid and square-shaped structures. And they were a very old race. But they never expanded beyond their home planet, but they took really good care of their world. So that was the WO species. So when I was designing an evil species, I wanted something with 2 letters. So I just said "ku," just switch some letters around, and that was that. Once again, I never imagined the story. I never cared for the story when I was writing All Tomorrows. The coup were just a plot device for me to make all those alien designs plausible. Also, 45 people watching. Crazy. Well, some of you newcomers and lurkers, why don't you consider donating to me on Patreon or buy me a coffee? I've been talking my mouth off for 2 hours. And also, if you're a lurker or a newcomer, let me know where you're from. Let me know where you are from. Let me know where you are from. Ali says, have you ever read The Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy? No, but I've heard it's really good. For some reason, especially in TikTok, All Tomorrows, Blood Meridian, and I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream get kind of like lumped together as like a Suicide Squad of the most evil characters, which is funny and cool. I like when fictional narratives evolve that way, out of their creator's control. Some messages now. Okay. Okay, some new people. Billy Harrington from Poland. Edward Doris from Boise, Idaho. Nice city. One of the underrated cool cities in the US. BioWar Gaming is from the Siberian coasts. MT is from far north NY. And they have just found one of Carl Koffed's Galactic Geographic websites. William says there's a great comic called Humanity Lost by Callum Diggle. The art is amazing and it's somewhat inspired by All Tomorrows. Yes, I'm a good friend of Callum's online. Say hi to him. Robotipi says, hope everything is great. Thank you, my friend. Who are you says, how do I realize if I am a toxic friend? I had 2 friends ditch me for reasons I still don't know. If you still don't know, you're not toxic. I'm wondering if I'm too clingy or critical. Maybe. I mean, look, I've also seen where, here's a good test. When you're interacting with other people, imagine this is another person, okay? You say, imagine if they say, I saw a fungus today. And if you say, oh, I went on walks to find fungi too. I also saw a fungus. It was great. This is actually selfish behavior. You should actually say, really, how was it? Actually care for what the other person has to say. A lot of young people don't do that. Doesn't make you toxic, just makes you, I mean, it's something that could be fixed. Alandre from South Africa, what are we doing today? Well, we've been talking about bombas and toxic friends and galactic geographic and toxic friends and stuff. Edward Dory says, but I need to show off. Well, you can show off at an anonymous third party online platform, show off your skills. And when it comes to friendships, just talk about the weather. That's actually why I think for good friends or even for partners, you don't need to be doing the same thing. Canis Lupus says, was humanity lost really inspired by Our Tomorrows? I don't think so. I think it's its own original, like, empire of man kind of things. And it's okay, you're not gonna mesh with everybody in your life. Some people are gonna be different. They may have other things going on. It's like, here's a good thing to consider. It's not always about you. It's not always about you. Maybe they have their own problems. You just have to take it at face value, deal with it. Kotobuki says, remembering the point of interaction with other people, you're here to learn from each other and be each other's support. Oh, brother, if you knew how many people don't realize that, why wouldn't you care for what they have to say? There's an entire generation that doesn't know them. We call them the boomers. They never care of what other people feel. It's all about them, them, them. William says, I have talked to Callum Diggle, and he says he was inspired by All Tomorrows for creating Humanity Lost. Well, then it's just an honor. Nearly 2 hours in, everybody. I'm getting a little tired. Edward Dory says, the me generation, of course. They're going to drag the world into hell. They're going to die and they're going to take the world with them. Look, also with people and friendships generally, there's like even when you're a couple, you need to have like your own private alone time so you miss each other. Same thing with friends. You can't be in each other's hair all the time. So maybe, I don't know, there are friends who I see once a year and we're still great friends. Billy Harrington says, who's the girl on that photo behind you? It said, adolescent photograph of my mother's. So I'm broadcasting from my parents' house. Any last questions or remarks? I'm going to go to bed soon. Who are you? Says, good night. I will think of your wisdom. I'm not wise, I'm just old. Kara Fiskrov says, how the conversation goes on both people. Yeah, look, did you ever play that game Spore, where you're on the creature level and you can make friends with other species? One side puts something, the other follows, the other follows, the other follows. If you do it right, you got a heart. It just doesn't work with some people. That's okay. Çok yaşa. Why don't more academics know about youth culture, especially as it relates to media studies on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, etc.? Says Edward Dory. It's a problem with academicians themselves. Look, used to be that university education was for a minority of the population, and especially on like rarefied fields like cultural studies or something. Even until comparatively recently, it wasn't meant to be something that could be offered to everybody, simply because these fields do not make money. If you're a cultural critic, you probably have some wealth of your own, and you just advance that field because it's your passion. Now, fast forward, academic life has become a white collar job. There are academics with kettles in their offices, little kettles in their little offices. Psh, brew coffee, drink coffee, work. Well, not all, but most of these people are not scratching an itch. And as such, they're just repeating something that's already out there. And for them, it's just a job, it's just a way to pay the rent. And of course, they just know what's on the syllabus and nothing beyond that. It's the banalization of academia. In an ideal world, maybe those areas, in an ideal world, there needs to be far fewer people writing academic studies, cultural studies, youth culture studies, and far more people reading them. Blake Richardson says, thank you for merely existing. Thank you. Louis J says, tomorrow I'm going to take psychedelics and watch your Pan Arachnid Giga special. Can you bless the trip? You have been blessed. Fly safe, travel well. And enjoy that series. Let me know if you have any visions. And maybe have some bombas for munchies, if you can. Louis J sends me lots of hearts. Nice. Yeah, La Bomba. I really want to do some of my older videos again. Because over the time, actually, I learned how to properly record and mix audio podcasts. In a lot of Canis Lupus says, wait, in a lot of older videos, I did not know how to do that. So it was always like, lots of blank spaces in the recording. It doesn't flow smoothly. And a lot of my statements are redundant. I really want to do some of my old videos again. Canis Lupus says, do you see little hearts? Yes, I'm seeing a lot of little hearts flowing from the bottom of the screen. 100 signs. It makes me very happy. It's like that little bubble thing in aquaria where the fish come to breathe. And yeah, keep the bubbles coming. It's midnight. Any CM Kozeman videos make it worthwhile. Well, thank you. My favorites are still the ones where Prometheum does the introductions, though. Kadir Çıtak says, last good night kiss from Istanbul. Okay, abi. Billy Harrington says, favorite meat? Mine is turkey and rabbit. It would have to be pork. I love pork, processed, unprocessed. It's really great. I also had this one incredible adventure with a very close friend where we went to a village in southeastern Turkey and we stayed with a family and they slaughtered a goat for us. And it was like literally slaughtered in front of us, then processed. They chopped the meat up, mixed it up with rice. It was the most delicious buttery meat I ever tasted. I didn't even feel bad about the animal dying because it was like a big family of nearly 20 people plus us. Everybody ate the goat. Beautiful. Can't have that enough. Just doing some messages. Ask me questions. I got a little last bit of reserve power kicking in. Çok yaşa. Tamari says, good night, Memo. İyi geceler. Who are you says, what are some of your favorite Turkish cryptids? I recently saw stuff about the Lake One monster. I did not know it was a cryptid. Well, that's a really nice one. Look at my channel. I have my favorite would have to be the floating Ushak alien, which is this armless floating robot like thing, which is one of my favorite videos. So go watch that. Nikolai asks, any creature that you designed that you think would make a nice meal? Let me look at it. I don't know. I think some creatures on Snyad, there was this creature called a roll pig with a kind of like big squishy sausage tail. That always like felt edible to me. I don't know. I am craving some meat now. I would donate for food if you do an eating stream. Well, donate to buy me a coffee, please. Buy me a coffee /CM Kozman. The info is right there. Super Bantom says, would alien life even be edible? Exactly. I mean, in Snayad, I imagine the creatures would have different sets of amino acids and proteins. So you could eat them, but you can derive no nutrition from them. Certainly, maybe flavors and stuff, but it would be a waste to like eat something because it would be like eating a sponge, basically. Mhm. Diet meat. All right. Okay, before saying good nighty, recommend me a place to explore on Google Maps, preferably where we can see the street view too. And we'll take a look at that before going to sleep. Why don't you, in the meantime, look at these sketches while I go rummage in the fridge. I will be back. All right. We got some Greta cookies, which are these like salty crackers with olive oil and thyme on them. So we're gonna eat these. Mmm. Mmm. Mmm. Mmm. Okay. Who are you? Says let's go to Ashihikawa in Japan. Maddox Whitaker, first time commenter, says, yo, bro, are you professional at evolution of species? I think I'm a bit good at designing creatures, but I don't know. I haven't evolved any species. But yeah, thanks for the compliment. I'm a creature designer of some repute. Let's look at Ashihikawa. God, I'm starving. I must be famished. There's a big conversation going on about dark meat and light meat in birds. Mm. Okay, let's go to Ashikawa. Mm. Boom. Okay, let's share the screen with you. Mhm. Okay, let me know if this works, by the way, because sometimes this thing is retarded. But yeah, we're zooming into Ashihikama Kawa. Where in Japan? Oh, it's in Hokkaido, the top island. Wow. I'm probably gonna die without seeing any of this. How sad. Because it's a really beautiful country. Okay, it works. Let's drop our manlet. Maybe somewhere here. Oh. Looks surprisingly more American than I hoped. But still, very clean. Very nice. I'm not a big fan of houses like this, by the way, but yeah. Such a nice, cozy city. One thing about Japan is cars are always parked in home garages. So you'll never have like chains of cars lined up in streets just messing up the view. And I think it's a lovely thing about that country. My family is from there, says Kotobuki. Wow, all right. Nice. Louis J says, I hope I will be stationed there. Well, enjoy Japan. All right, everyone. It's nearly 1 a.m. This has been Ashihikawa with CM Kozman. Oh, God. I'm just so tired. But it was a great day. Hanging out with you guys is always fun. So I go off to sleep now, going into sleep mode, putting on the robe. Any last comments before we sign off? Louis J says hearts. Charlie Kane says bless and rest. Kotobuki says sleepy time. Who are you? Says İyi geceler abi. This has been CM Kozman. Kotobuki says thank you for existing. Gnome's child is going to Japan next week. Nice. Get those realistic lizard toys they have there. Incredible stuff. Well, just before I go to sleep, before you drift into unconsciousness, be sure to give this final kiss. One final na Na na na na na. Well, I forgot those lyrics, but I know these. The crystal ship is being filled. 1,000 dreams, 1,000 girls. And yeah, before we go to sleep, please be sure, if you're watching this on replay, to give me a donation on Buy Me a Coffee or get subscribed on Patreon. Every dollar helps. And this has been CM Cosman. You're going to get the 0 point right now. Boom.